As investors and traders, we are always on the lookout for the next big stock. We are always searching for the next stock that's going to blow up 5x, 10x, and make you rich. So we are often on the lookout for what is the next big stock. And lately, there's been a lot of talk about BigBear.ai being the next Palantir. So in this video, we are going to compare and contrast BigBear.ai and Palantir. From the time that Palantir launched the IPO and the time that BigBear also launched the IPO, we're going to compare both of them, their business model, their path to public market, the stock prices, the market cap, and the revenue growth, and also their customer base to see if BigBear.ai is indeed the next Palantir. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to Ben Talks Money. My name is Ben. I do have an MBA in finance and I've been trading for about 8 years now. So today we are going to take a look at BigBear.ai and compare if it's indeed the next Palantir so that we can all make money from it, right? But we don't want to waste money. We want to make money, not to waste them. So in this video, we are going to look at the core business model, the differences and the similarities between Palantir and BigBear to see if there is a future that, in the next couple of years, BigBear.ai will blow up to be the next Palantir. So let's jump in. First of all, let's look at the core business model. So BigBear.ai basically use AI-powered decision intelligence, data analytics, and cyber engineering to provide service through government-based solutions, right, for defense contracts. So BigBear, as of now, about 95% of their business are with government defense contracts, right? And then let's look at Palantir. Palantir provides a universal data integration and analysis platforms, i.e. their Gotham, their Foundry, and their Apollo platforms for large-scale government and commercial enterprise. So Palantir, unlike BigBear.ai, is not just in government contracts, right? They also have a huge amount of commercial customers, which makes their business model a little bit more diversified compared to BigBear.ai. And then let's look at the path to becoming public. So BigBear.ai became public through SPAC back in late 2021. Whereas for Palantir, it was through direct listing. That's when back in, I think, September 2020, that's when Palantir came public through direct listing. So there is a difference there. And if you look at the size of the company, when Palantir was coming public, it was already a huge company, right? Palantir was already a huge company, making hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. I think their last revenue before they came public was about 1.2 billion. Whereas if you compare to BigBear, their revenue as of last quarter was about 34 million. So there's when it comes to a scale and market cap, BigBear is a small cap, whereas Palantir, even at the time that they were coming public, it was already a large company making a few billions of revenue every quarter. And then let's look at the revenue growth. As of last quarter, BigBear.ai revenue grew year over year by 5%, right? Just 5%. So the company right now, they're not making money. Let's be honest, they are not. And that revenue was just about 34 million for BigBear.ai. Whereas when you look at Palantir back in 2020, their year over year growth was about 47%, right? So Palantir was still decent. It wasn't profitable. Both companies were not profitable during the time of public listing, but Palantir revenue was about I think the correct amount was about 1.1 billion in the full year that they came into public, right? So, and if you compare the revenue growth 5% compared to 47%, there's a huge difference between Palantir and BigBear.ai. And then the next one is, let's look at the customer base. If you look at the customer base between BigBear.ai and Palantir, BigBear.ai, they are highly concentrated on the government side, right? Most of their contracts are with the US government and defense. That's about 52% of their revenue as of last year, 2024. Whereas if you compare that to Palantir, They're also heavily reliant on government contracts, but that's just about 28% of their revenue back in 2020 when they came public. And right now, I think it's about 15%. So Palantir has greatly expanded their market base. They've expanded it, whereas BigBear is still trying to figure that part out, like as to what they want to do when it comes to the public sector, because they announced that they are going to warehousing using AI and building construction and all those kind of stuff. So they are yet to figure that one out, whereas Palantir is already doing it, right? And if you look at the future potential, and this is where we are all hoping for, right? Because right now BigBear is trading around $7. So if there's a future potential for this to 3x or 5x, then this is good for everybody. So let's look at the future potential. So if you look at BigBear, most of the hype around BigBear comes from their backlog, right? Most of the hype from BigBear is because they have a huge backlog compared to their revenue from last quarter. So their revenue from last quarter was it was 38 million. Meanwhile, they have about $384 million in backlog, right? So that's where all the hype is coming from. That can they deliver? That's the question. Can they deliver on the backlog? Because if they can, that's about 1,000% increase in revenue, right? If they can deliver on the backlog, that's jumping from 34 million to 385 million. That's a lot. So that's what everybody is hoping for. That's where all the hype comes from, that BigBear is the next Palantir. BigBear is the next Palantir, right? It's because they have a huge backlog that if they can deliver, it will be huge for the company and for everybody who is interested in investing in the company. So what are the similarities between these two companies? The number one is when it comes to profitability, they all struggled. Both Palantir and BigBear, they both struggled. It took Palantir about 3, 4, 5 years before they became profitable, and BigBear right now is not a profitable company. They are a long way from being a profitable company. When it comes to the government focus, both companies are focused on government, but more so for BigBear.ai, with about 52% of their revenue coming from the government, whereas about 15% with Palantir as of now. When it comes to expansion, Palantir is already in the public sector. Whereas BigBear.ai is trying to figure that one out. And when it comes to what they actually do, right, the complexity of their AI solutions, neither of those companies sells simple AI stuff, right? They are all complex. I remember somebody was telling me about BigBear.ai. One of their technologies being used in LAX when you go through TSA for scanning and stuff. So the company, without a doubt, has a potential. But the thing is, can they deliver on the potential? That's what we are all waiting for. So to end this video, is BigBear.ai really the next Palantir? And the answer is, it depends. It depends. It's possible that it can become the next Palantir, but they have a lot of work to do, and they have a lot of hurdles, to go over. So if they are able to achieve that, deliver on the backlog and expand as they aim to be, then yes, BigBear.ai will definitely be the next Palantir. But it's not going to be an easy route. So if you have the stock, you have to have it at the back of your mind that it's going to be a lot of, ups and downs. Even this year, the stock went from $4 to $10, and it came back to $4. And right now it's at $7. So you have to be prepared for all this, volatility, because that's where they are right now. That's where the stock is right now. And because it has a relatively low float compared to Palantir. So, at some point, if they start making money, don't be surprised if they issue shares, if they decide to raise money and those kind of stuff. You have to be prepared for it. But in the long term, let's all hope that BigBear.ai is indeed the next Palantir. So let me know in the comment section, do you think BigBear.ai is the next Palantir? Or do you think it's just another, form? Let me know in the comment section and I'll talk to you later. Bye.